Don't ask me why I began this video in a handstand, because I don't know, I just felt like it. And yeah, I've been really eating raw meat for the past 7 months. I've been on a raw meat based diet. And people, of course, have a lot of questions when it comes to that. Can you really die from eating raw meat? Don't you get sick? Don't you get parasites, salmonella? Where do you get your meat from? And all these questions. So in this video, I decided to answer 10 questions from my subscribers, okay, from my followers, which I have right here. Wait, let me show you. I have this paper right here where I wrote down the questions. You'll just see them on the screen right here. I just wrote them for myself, and yeah, let's get to the video. But first I gotta thank you guys for 1,000 subs, because we grew so fast, you know, like 3 weeks ago I was on 20 subs, now on 1k, which is really crazy. I appreciate the support, and this is a video special for this occasion. For 1k subs I decided to do a Q&A. And yeah, if you want to see more videos from me, if you're new to this channel and you want to see educational videos about health that will help you achieve superhuman health using natural movement, diet, sleep, lifestyle optimization in general, connecting with nature, if you want to see that, then hit the subscribe button and let's dive to the questions right now. First question is, do you think cooking is that bad? And here, yeah, good question, because here it depends. It depends on how much you cook the meat, because the worse you cook it, the more you cook it, the worse it is. Of course, you'll destroy more nutrients. It is scientifically proven, by the way, that if you cook the meat, you destroy the nutrients, especially the heat-soluble vitamins, which are vitamin C and vitamins B, and also some minerals. But for example, if you cook your meat, you make your steaks rare, you don't cook them that much, then it's okay, it's cool, you'll still retain most of the nutrients. I would say it's not that bad. And not compared to, you know, eating raw meat, of course, it's still, that would be the best choice, the most ideal thing to do. But in that case, if you cook your steaks rare, like I told you, it's fine, it's still doable, I would say. Now if you cook your meat, for example your steak, till it's well done or even past that, then of course you'll destroy most of the nutrients. Now I won't recommend doing that, and that's what I would say. If you want to cook your meat, at least cook it, you know, the steaks, make them rare, and also the other type of meats. So that's the main thing here, because cooking creates toxic compounds and also destroys the nutrients. That's the problem with it. And also the digestive enzymes, when you cook them, you destroy them. So in this case, there's also a downside, and also the water evaporates, so it's not as, the meat is not as hydrating. So yeah, now we can go to the second question, which is, what's your favorite type of meat? Well, here my favorite type of meat, I guess you're maybe referring to muscle meat, and in that case it's pork. I like pork like so much, it's just so tasty compared to beef. I even like it more than beef. Usually I only kind of eat beef, mostly. I ate pork just a couple of times, but I like the taste of pork. It's way better for me. It's like, I would say sweet, kind of a sweet taste. I like that. But yeah, that's regarding muscle meat. However, muscle meat is not that amazing when it comes to taste. Organs are really better here. For example, liver, I would say liver or bone marrow would be my favorite in terms of taste. Now we have the third question, which is the one from the thumbnail. Can you really die from eating raw meat? And the answer here is yes, of course you can die from eating raw meat. You can eat raw meat and after that you'll choke and you'll die, of course, like with any other food. This is where a lot of people get confused, you know, it's a lot of propaganda that yeah, you'll get parasites, salmonella, stuff like that, and you'll die from eating raw meat, you'll painfully die from it. Which is false. You won't die from eating raw meat. Yes, now here's the thing, you will get food poisoning from eating raw meat if you get meat from a bad quality source. For example, if you eat meat from the supermarket, raw meat, if you also eat it with the fat, then yes, you can get food poisoning, because usually the low quality meat that's brought to the supermarket, depends on where you live. Also, some places also have good quality meat at the supermarket, but for the most places it's kind of bad quality. And in that case, if you eat it, the animals that are brought there, that are slaughtered, are, you know, basically unhealthy, because they are vaccinated, they are fed crap, you know, they are stressed, kept in cages. So of course the animal will have toxins inside of it, because it's unhealthy, it's not living properly. So when you eat the meat raw, you'll absorb the toxins, they will go through you, and you'll basically get food poisoning as a result of a detox. You'll detox the poisons, that's it, that's what food poisoning is. But you won't die from it. You may be feeling very sick, depends. For example, if you would eat a raw bone marrow, like from a very bad source, because in the bone marrow usually that's where most of the toxins will be stored. If you eat raw bone marrow from a really bad source, then yeah, you can get really sick. But you won't die, you'll just get detox symptoms. That's what will happen, really. That's what Arjonus would say, at least, like Arjonus being the guy who promoted the primal diet, that brought the primal diet, I would say. He's like an OG. He was on this diet for decades, and he has put over 2,000 people on this diet. He knew exactly what happens, and he said that no, you can't die from eating raw meat, you'll just get food poisoning as a result from detox. So I would recommend you get your meat from a high quality source, but we'll get to that in another question, okay? In the next questions I'll tell you exactly about the sourcing too. So yeah, let's go on. Now, the fourth question, how did you start eating and having this lifestyle? Eating this way and having this lifestyle? Well, it all started in March 15 when I started eating raw meat. So for context, before this I was on a cooked animal based diet. I was still on a carnivore, so-called carnivore diet, but I was eating only cooked muscle meat and organs here and there. I would say cooked like muscle meat and organs, cooked eggs and butter. That's kind of all that I've been eating, you know, for 1 year before this diet. That's what I was eating, and I've heard people around me that they are also on a carnivore diet, but they tried eating raw meat and it makes them feel even better. Then a girl appeared in my life, a girl which had like a friend. She had a friend which was eating raw meat for 4 years, okay? She's been on this diet, and that's when it clicked to me, because I talked to her and she said, yeah, but I have a friend that she eats raw meat for 5 years, and that's when it clicked to me, okay? And she kept telling me, yeah, you can try this, you could also try eating raw meat, and I decided that, yeah, I'll try it after 1 year on the carnivore diet, you know, because I kind of have had some limiting beliefs, but yeah, what will my parents say, you know, from eating raw meat, what will happen, blah, blah, blah. And eventually I started it. I started it earlier at 11 months, after 11 months on the carnivore diet, cooked carnivore diet, because I suddenly craved raw meat before I started. I just had a sudden craving on raw meat, basically. Before I started, I just randomly craved raw meat, so I decided, why not? Let's go. Day one of eating raw meat, I also made a challenge on my social media platforms, on my Romanian account that I had like at the time. I still have it, but don't post as often there. And that's how it started, basically. That's how my journey started in terms of the raw meat diet. And after that I also started changing my lifestyle. I started staying in the forest more, being in nature, sleeping in nature. As you can see, I just made a video yesterday about this topic. You can go watch it if you want after this one. And also starting getting more sunlight, living naturally, you know, even grounding, all these good habits. Even before I had some good habits, I would say. I was sleeping good and other things, but now it's way better, you know. And that's how my lifestyle, my journey started, I would say. Now moving on to the next question from the same guy, is what's the biggest challenge you faced on this primal journey? And this is a very good question, because yeah, there are lots of benefits from eating raw meat, from living primally, but at the same time the only downside that I would say there is to this lifestyle is the fact that it's not as accepted socially, you know. At first, when you start eating raw meat, you'll be like this social outcast, like, yeah, what the fuck, you eat raw meat, you're very crazy, you're very weird, people might want to distance from you, you lose some friends, maybe it will be harder when you go to social occasions and stuff like that. And that was kind of my biggest challenge, I would say. Not necessarily this one, because I don't really care what people think about me. I didn't really care about the fact that people thought of me that I was weird or something, but there was this thing that after I started eating raw meat, I kind of started to see the world differently, like I was escaping the matrix somehow. I've seen through all this BS in this world that people didn't see, you know, and I didn't want to do these normal activities anymore, like, you know, before this I was also working out, and I had this, you know, passion, I would say, for working out. And since then I realized that also working out destroys your health, exercise at least. I just started moving naturally right now. I don't exercise anymore, I just move here and there, like so at the intro. So I kind of gave up on all this, you know, normal people stuff, I would say. And I couldn't relate to 99% of people at this point, because I wanted to be in nature, here in the forest, eat raw meat, while others were, I don't know, maybe in the mall, going outside in the city, going to, you know, train in the calisthenics park like I used to before. And I wasn't into these activities anymore, so it was kind of difficult, because it was tough, because I didn't have friends, I would say. Like I knew a lot of people, I still know a lot of people, but I can't really say that I have friends, because I don't have a deeper connection with nobody. Even though I know a lot of people, I hang out with lots of people, I'm really popular here, people know me and stuff, but I don't really have a deeper connection with anybody, because no one is really like me, you know. That's the biggest problem that I faced. And maybe also in dating, in terms of dating, it's also harder for me. I found some girls here and there that eat raw meat, but nothing was meant to be to say it that way. So yeah, that's kind of the biggest challenge that I faced. It's mostly about social life, I would say, because it's easier when you're normal, you're like an average guy, I would say, and you just have normal habits. Yeah, you can go play video games, drink alcohol, go to parties, you'll have a lot of friends, but not really friends, because you'll still be friends with the substances more than with the person itself, because after you quit those bad habits, you'll just, you know, the friendship will just fade away. That's what usually happens. And yeah, but it's okay, like I won't ever give up. And also another challenge that I faced is family wise, because family just went crazy when I started eating raw meat. Oh my god, you're gonna get very sick. My mom was very worried. She's basically criticizing me all the time, my dad too, and I had like a lot of arguments. That's also a problem here, but it is what it is, you know, you gotta deal with it. At least it makes you feel good. I feel the healthiest I've ever been since I started this diet, so it's worth for me. I'll take that sacrifice all day, like every day of the week I'll take it, so because in the end it's still gonna be better. Now let's get into the next question, which is, raw milk could make me taller at 16 years old. I'm scared people say it can have tuberculosis, and in this case you shouldn't worry about raw milk at all, that it has tuberculosis. As long as you get your milk from healthy cows, from a good source, you have nothing to worry about, okay? Because healthy cows don't have dangerous living things in them that cause you harm. Of course they don't. It can be that way because healthy animals are healthy, they have good living things in them, of course. So you just gotta get your raw milk from a good source, and that's it. You won't get tuberculosis. I've been drinking raw milk. Look, I have it right here. I don't know if you've seen it, but I've been drinking raw milk for the past 4 or 5 months, I would say, and I'm feeling very good, you know. I mostly drink 2-3 liters per day, and I feel very fine. And yes, to answer your question, yes, it does help you grow taller. I also grew taller. I'm 19, by the way, almost 20. From 18 to 19, I didn't grow at all. My height just stagnated, and now, since I started drinking raw milk and eating raw meat, I started growing again, because I added 2 centimeters in the last 3 months, I would say 3-4 months, and it's really cool. Right now I'm 179 centimeters, so I'm still growing. I'll grow till at least 182, I would say 182 centimeters, so that's pretty cool. And yeah, it will still help you grow because you're 16, of course. You still have a lot of potential to grow, so yeah, I recommend just drinking raw milk ASAP. Don't worry about tuberculosis, just get your raw milk from a good source, like I told you. I would be worried more about the fact that you destroy nutrients when you heat the milk, when you pasteurize it, so that's what I would worry more about. And the fact that you make it a dead food, basically you destroy the bacteria and also the digestive enzymes, which will cause bloating, congestion, and all these problems basically. So I would worry more about that. And now let's move on to the next question, which is, do you work at job, not online, social living? And no, I don't have a job. I am the unemployed final boss, of course, because I sleep in the forest. What do you expect, you know? Of course I'm unemployed. I've heard like there was a guy who commented on my video, on the video that I made yesterday about the fact that I sleep in the forest, and he said, is anybody else getting job applications? You know, if you know that that reference to goat, is anybody else getting shivers? That was so funny, man. I laughed so much at the comment, goated comment. If you watch this video, man, really nice, I like that. And no, I don't work, like I said, I don't have a job. I'm planning to get like a part-time job soon, because in this way at least it won't be too much of a slavery. But right now I made some money online too. Parents also support me a bit. That's how I usually get food and stuff. And next question, how do you deal with tics? And here is referring to the fact that I sleep in nature, of course, and I spend most of my time in nature. As you can see, I'm recording these videos. Almost every video is in nature, in the forest here. Well, here in Romania, it's not like in the USA, for example, because I know that there in the States, if you go to a forest, you go in the woods, you'll get like lots of ticks on you. It's way harsher there, and also I've heard that some ticks can give you like an allergy that it makes you not being able to handle meat anymore, which is crazy. I don't know if that's true or not, but that sounds really, really dangerous. That sounds really, really fucked up, if you ask me. That's really, I think government plays a role in this. But yeah, how do I deal with ticks? Usually when I go into nature, sometimes I go to my home here and there, I look in the mirror, I just check my body. When I shower, I check my body to see if I have ticks. And if I see one, I just take it out, just like that, you know. I take something like a tool, or with my hands, depends, and I just take it out in time. Because here's the thing, if you are on a raw meat based diet, you won't have problems with ticks. Like it won't be that bad, because you'll have a better immune system. You'll be fine, you know. You just have to get them out in time and you'll be good. Now, how do you How do you eat raw meat? Do you just buy my beef from the shop, or do you go to a butcher shop or farmer? Here the question is about sourcing, and very good question. The most ideal source here would be the farmer. Of course, go to a farmer or raise your own animals, get it from someone that raises animals. That would be the best source here, because you know exactly how the animals are fed. If you raise them, for example, or if you know someone who raises animals, you can ask them. If not, you can also get meat from a local butcher shop. That's what I do, at least. I just go to the butcher shop and I get my meat from there. It's like very good. You can find local butcher shops in your city. Most of them are good quality, depends on where you live. Also, like for me here in Romania, the meat is pretty good quality. Some organs are not doable, I would say, but I can eat most of the stuff that I find at the butcher shops. Now, for the supermarket meat, here it's a little bit trickier, because you can also eat supermarket meat, but in this case you gotta just cut out the fat, because here's the thing. Usually the toxins, if the animal is unhealthy, like I told you that you'll get food poisoning if you eat meat from an unhealthy animal, usually the toxins get stored in the fat and in the organs. So if you eat only the lean part of the meat, like the red part, not the white part, you cut out the fat, then you'll still be fine. You can just add some raw butter along it, and you can basically just have the fat with it, because fat is also very important. But in this case, you just gotta cut it out so you don't get food poisoning if you want to eat raw meat from the supermarket. Many people do that, you know, many people just eat raw meat from the supermarket, but here in this case I would want you to test first. Like when you get some raw meat from the supermarket, just take a few bites, not a lot, and then wait a few hours and see if you get something. If you feel fine, no problems, then yeah, you can eat it. I mean, just the lean part, and you'll be fine. You know, that's what you can do if you don't really have a good source from to get your meat from. Boom. Now we move on to the next question. Can I eat chicken liver raw? And the answer is yes, you can, but here's a nuance here, because here's the thing. Most chickens nowadays are kind of unhealthy. They are fed crap. You know how chickens are raised nowadays. And obviously it's a bit riskier here in this case of eating raw chicken. I would only eat raw chicken if I really have a good source, you know, like pasture raised chicken, fed with, you know, let them roam around, eat insects, bugs, not feed them soy or other crap. Then yeah, in that case you can 100% eat raw chicken. Raw chicken liver, of course you can eat basically any animal if it's healthy, if it's, you know, eating its natural diet. The quality matters, that's it, that's all it matters here. But yeah, in terms of chicken or pork, for example, it definitely a bit harder to source nowadays, like I told you the reason why. And that's my answer here. That's all the questions that I got here today. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, hope you liked it, and don't forget to subscribe, and I'll make more of these banger ass videos, because I know you guys like these videos, you enjoy my content, so I'm gonna keep posting. I'll make videos consistently. So yeah, that was it with this video. I was Dragos, and don't forget to drink your raw milk, eat your raw meat, and that was it. Subscribe, and we'll see each other next time.